Stormtrooper, we need your help hacking into the rebel systems. Continue watching.
Hey guys, it's Halloween here in the United States. I'm on the Death Star right now, and today I'm be going over the TRYHACKME intro to C2 for command and control. So I found this is very interesting. We'll be going straight to task 4, where you've learned a little bit about the different C2 frameworks, and now it's time to actually utilize it. So here in task 4, they give you some instructions for how to set up armitage. And armitage, if you don't know, is a older version of what we now would see as a Cobit strike. So all the true hackers are utilizing Cobit strike because you can create 0 days, you can create malware that'll just bypass Windows Defender. It's some pretty cool stuff there, but it's expensive, right? Not everybody can afford Cobit strike. So that's why we're using armitage, right? We're on a budget. we're trying to use the free stuff, okay? And we use it against the rebels, those rebel scums. And we use armitage to crush the rebellion. All right, anyhow. So here in task 4, if you could see my screen here, it's giving you some commands where you'll run git clone, and then you're going to install armitage onto your computer. Now I've already done this, but I'll just run you through how that would be done. So I'm just going to copy this command, and then I have my virtual machine here in the background. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over to my folder here. I go to my desktop, and I want to say I have an armitage folder here. I know it's a mess. Let's see, armitage. I know I have armitage here. I might have to pause this so I could find it. Okay, yeah. Let me pause that real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so I finally found it. Reason I had trouble finding was because when you open up the terminal, if you don't know what it does, it opens up the terminal, and you could type in pwd. Gosh, if I couldn't type before, I really can't type now with this thing on. This is a legitimate Stormtrooper costume. All right, so it's legit. At the end, I'll put my helmet on for you. All right, anyhow, so you can see by default, we're in the home Kali directory. So if you install anything, it's probably going to go there, right? So what you can do is, yeah, you can just go ahead and run the command they give you there. So if I just paste in that command they give me, what it's going to do is going to git clone the armitage package, and then it's going to put in that repository there, in the directory there. So I already have it installed. You can see here I go to Kali armitage, and you can see I have all the folders there, and SHs and all that stuff that I need. All right, so I run that command already. It ran successfully. If you run into any issues, you can always sudo. That always helps. And here we're going through the instructions. Again, bash package.sh. If you follow those instructions, you'll be set. That's what I did. You do the ls. And then this is the interesting part, okay? So you can see here, when we start configuring this thing, you're going to have to input the IP address of your host. Okay, it can't be your loopback address, and it has to be your ton0 address. Okay, we'll go over that in a bit. And you're going to want to prepare your environment here. So you're starting the Postgres, and then you're using the default use default delete, msfdb use default initiate. And once you do that, you should be good, right? So you run those few commands, and then here it's saying cd op armitage release unix, which in this case is actually going to be I believe your directory, and you'll see me start it up. I'll actually do that in a bit. So, and then you're going to cd start running armitage here, and then you're going to connect to it, put in your nickname, and then it should start up, right? So before we get started any further, let's go ahead and just take a look here. I think this is where they run you through the instructions a little further. No, okay, so you have to set it up first. So before we get started, make sure that you're connected to the TRYHACKME VPN. Okay, if you don't know, I actually have a video where I show you how to connect to it, and I can show you how to make a script, so you don't have to bother with having to manually run it every single time. I mean, you still have to run it, but it's not as you have to go find in the downloads and then you have to run it, right? So highly recommend you watch that video. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get this thing running. So you've installed it, yeah, and we'll start off let me take a look at my notes here. All right, here we go. So all right, and one thing I've noted is that if you actually run this command, it will not work unless you do something else here. Yeah, so you may have to sudo to install it, right? cd armitage, change directory armitage. Okay, so let me go ahead and change into this directory real quick. All right, I'm not even gonna bother cding into this thing. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna close this out, or I might minimize it. I'm gonna need that later. I'm gonna go to, after I've installed armitage, right? So after you've run the first command here to get clone, and then bash package.sh, then you can go ahead and navigate over to the folder, which is what we'll be doing. And like I said, it should be Kali, and then you should have armitage folder there if you use the defaults. All right, and then I'm gonna open up a terminal from here. All right, so you can see I have my terminal open. And next thing I'm gonna do, according to their instructions here, setting up this environment, is we're going to start postgresql. So I'm going to go ahead and start that real quick. So just give me 1 second here. Just gonna start it. All right, and it's prompting me for my password, so I'll input that and I'll be right back. All right, so you can see here it says active. All right, so that's a good sign. And if we look at their instructions, that's what we should be seeing. So I have their instructions here. Success, right? Active. Mine says success and active, so we're good there. So we prepare the environment. Next, we're going to run these 2 commands here. So I'm gonna run that. Okay, run that command. And let's see, what's the next command? All right, I'm gonna try the next one with sudo. See if it gives me any errors here. Sudo msdb, use defaults initiate. All right, cool. So we run both those commands. And then starting and connecting to armitage. Okay. All right, so next I'm going to be using the same command that they have there, except I modified it, so I'm using it from my directory, right? So starting connecting to Armitage, you can see here they've put in their opt Armitage release Unix. We're starting it from a different location. If you are running into issues, just check the path, right? Paste selection. And you can see I've used my, for the IP address, I'm using my ton0. So if you're not using your ton0, you're going to run into some serious issues down the line. So just make sure you're using your ton0, okay? So you can see that's mine right there. And ton0 looks good. All right. Make sure you input a password you remember. I just put password. All right. Don't tell the rebels. All right. Let's see. And it's gonna generate everything we need. And we'll give that a second to generate so you can see it when you see hacking is such a lonely thing. You see some comment at the end, it's probably done, but you should see your fingerprint. So you can see here it's got our fingerprint there. 6 other clients. Okay, perfect. And cd armitage. Let me see if I ran that last time. Yeah, I did. Okay. So the way I ran it was a little different. And I'll put the commands in the description below. So if you're having any issues, you can take a look. I'll change the ton0 though, because yours won't be the same. So just note that. Okay. And so next what we'll do is we'll just open up another terminal here. I'm just gonna paste this in. cd home. So you can see I got my path to the armitage release Unix, and then sudo dot /armitage. So now it's asking for my password. I'm just gonna enter that real quick. All right, guys, and it's looking good. So we've got the IP address here. We've got our password there, and so now we can connect. Okay, like they mentioned, don't use your loopback address and don't use any other IP address other than your ton0. And if you're wondering, how do I see my ton0? So you just type in ifconfig ton0, and then that's just going to be this IP address here. Okay, and they do change, so check yours, and just note that sometimes they change after a while, or if you change your TRYHACKME VPN configuration, they might change as well. So I'm going to click connect here and cross my fingers, and yep, that matches. Let me check, because you know the rebels have been attacking our base lately, so we need to make sure this is legit. Yep, looks good. Nickname Stormtrooper. Yeah. All right. All right, it's loading us in. We'll just give that a second, fetch the data. Okay, so you can see I've actually worked with the Windows 10 computer already. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, let's see here if I can clear my database. So I'm gonna clear my database here. And it says you'll lose all the information you've collected at this point. Yeah, all right, well, yeah, that's fine. No, well, yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. So we clear a database, and what we're going to do is we are going to run through the commands they give us here. And the first one, all right, let me go ahead and pull up my notes here for that. All right, so we're going to go to host in map scan, and then we'll do a quick scan, and then we're going to enter in the IP address of the attack box, which in this case, I don't even know if I started it. Let me scroll down a bit. All right, so then you're just going to click here on task. Which task is this? Task 6, and then you're going to start the rebels box, and then just let the rebels box load. Okay, we just got confirmation of the rebels IP address. Putting it in now. TK512. Please relay the IP address. Over. All right, guys, we got the IP address. Our communications tapped into the rebels communication network. I'm going to be putting the IP address in now. Oh, snaps. Almost did a typo. All right, the IP address is entered. Running in map scan against the host. All right. Based off our reconnaissance, we believe that this host is a Windows 7. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be running the payload against it. And we're going to be using internal blue. We'll try that one, see if it works. All right, guys, next we're going to be going to exploit and then Windows. And if we scroll down, we should see one for SMB. So we click SMB, expand that, and then you'll see the MS-17 internal blue. All right, what we're going to do next, we're just going to drag this over to the machine. You're going to see this little white page booking document. We're going to grab that, drag it over to the computer, and then here we're just going to ensure that the L host is our IP address for ton 0, and then the L port, and then the R host is going to be the remote machine. Go ahead and verify that is correct. I'm just going to check on my part here. That looks good. Okay. And then let me take a look at my notes here, see if I'm missing anything. For the target, you can set this to a Windows 7. And for use a reverse connection, we can try it, see if it works. If it doesn't, then, well, we'll try it without it. So we're gonna launch it. And just give it a sec. You can see it's identified, it's a Windows 7 now. So it's got the little Windows icon. And you just gotta let this run. I'm gonna be honest with you, if you run into any issues with Armitage, just know it's no longer really used, it's no longer supported. So if you run into issues, you're pretty much bound to run into issues at this point, right? The makers of Armitage, they made Cobit Strike. So, you know, they put all their attention into Cobit Strike, which makes them money, and Armitage is just, you know, like they don't update it anymore. So it's not very compatible with Metasploit. And so if you see here, it says fail. It can fail maybe like once or twice. After like a few times though, I don't know. Because I'm gonna tell you what, I ran this a few times and it didn't work at first. Also, for the rest of the lab, it's kind of tough because let's take a look at the rest of the lab. It has to work, and then you have to be able to find the flag, and then gain admin privileges. But you can't because well, it's not, it's going to stop working eventually. It's going to work at first. You're going to maybe get in, maybe you get the first flag, but then after that, it's just going to stop working because it's not very compatible with the current version of Metasploit. Kind of sucks. So you can see here, it's not really working. So I'm gonna just let this run a little bit longer. If it starts working, I'll start recording again. Oh, here we go. All right. See the lightning bolts? It looks like Darth Sidious is like electrocuting the computer. It's working. We got the rebel scum. All right, you see this? It says win right there. Perfect. Perfect. So now we can see that there's a session open. So if I right click here and I go to Metasploiter interact. All right, so I'm gonna go interact. If I click that, it should open up a shell. And so you can see down here, it's open up a shell. We're gonna type, who am I? Oh yeah, we're in, baby. We're coming after you, rebels. All right, so I've CD'd into the users folder. I'm gonna CD into the administrators folder here and see if I can find a flag. I'm gonna do a dir and I'm gonna CD into the desktop. All right, do a dir. And we can see root.txt there. So I'm gonna type root.txt, which is the equivalent of cat. And there we go. We've got the rebel scum. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna copy that flag. I'm gonna paste it in here. And I believe that's the first one. Yeah, that's the first flag. Okay. What is the admin's NTLM hash? All right, let's get a hint here. Running. So this is where we run into an issue, right? We try to run it from a Metasploiter session, and it might not work. But if it works, that'll be pretty cool. All right, let's try it. So I'm gonna right click, shell, Metasploiter. And then we'll see if it gets us a Metasploiter shell. Huh. All right, so I'm gonna pause this real quick and then I'm gonna test that out. Give me 1 sec. All right, I think one way of testing this is using the cat command, because when we use Metasploit, it should allow us to run Linux commands on a Windows computer. So let's see if it works. Yeah, that didn't work. And I should have gotten another shell open here, so dang it. All right, let me play around with this a little more. Okay, guys, for this next flag, it's kind of a pain, but all you need to do is, as you see here, I was in the administrator folder. Then after I was in the administrator folder, I CD'd into Ted's folder, right? So you just type, let's see. So I went dot back and then users Ted here. I'll just show you real quick. So let me rewind what I was doing a second ago. So I'm gonna go back into admin folder. Desktop. All right, so we're in the admin desktop folder. So I'm gonna cd dot go back a directory, cd dot go back a directory, cd user, or actually cd ted, cd desktop, list of directories, and then we have the user's flag there. So I'll do type user.text. And then there's Ted's flag right there. So you could just copy that and then enter that into this third question here for Ted. And next we're going to be looking after the NTLM hash. Figure it out. So for the rest of this, you're gonna have to go to post multi manage and then shell to interpreter. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna grab this, you're gonna drag it over. And after you drag it over, you'll see it'll run something like this. And then after you do that, if it runs successfully, what you should be able to do is you should be able to right click here, go to interpreter 2, so it start the interpreter session. And then after that, you'll go to hash dump access, hash dump, and then you're gonna click on the ISSASS method. When you click on that, it will then open up interpreter 2 here, and then it will dump the hashes. All right, guys. So for the next portion here, once it starts dumping the hashes, you'll see that administrator hash here. If we look at the last part of this from C15 all the way to 943, you can copy that over here for the administrator hash, right? And then for Ted's NTLM hash, you can see his hash starts at also at the end. So 2E all the way over to 5C, right there. All right, and you've completed this part, and the rest of this is just pretty much reading at that point. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, or you're a rebel scum.